Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bridget Morris and I talk about things that are specific carbohydrate diet related. You can also follow me on my Instagram account. I'll put it up just up there. You can go and follow me. I take pictures of foods that I eat or just share things that are specific carbohydrate diet related. So I know it's been a minute, but thank you for joining me today. I have some really good content and I can't wait to share it with you guys. Starting the specific carbohydrate diet can be difficult to do, but it doesn't have to be. So in today's video, I want to be sharing with you tips on how you can make your diet successful. The transition, whether you are starting the diet or you are still thinking whether or not you should start. The information that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I believe, is going to make it so much easier, and I wish that I knew this when I first started my diet. So if you want to learn 9 tips on how to make the specific carbohydrate diet a success, please keep watching. All right, so the first tip I have for you is to read this book. Now, you've probably already heard about this book and you probably already own it. If you don't, please do yourself a favor, purchase this book and read it. I've been doing the diet for over 7 years and I read this book still all the time. I refer to this all the time. So this is basically a godsend. I would recommend you reading it 2 to 3 times before you start the diet, because the first time you're going to read it, it's going to be a lot of information to absorb. The second time you're going to read it, you're going to understand it a little bit more. And I think that by the third time that you read it, you have a more in-depth understanding of really what this book is about, why you're wanting to do it, and what happens to the body. I believe that it's so important to understand the benefits of doing the diet to the body, because once you understand why you're cutting out certain foods, and you won't really want to eat them again because you know the damaging effects that it has to the body. And as a bonus, at the back of the book, there are a lot of recipes that to this day I still use, and they're absolutely amazing, and they're easy recipes. You don't need like a million ingredients. So again, this is a very good reference book. So tip number 2 is I would recommend you talking to your doctor and your specialist about you wanting to do the diet. While they can specifically monitor you throughout your whole progress, and they'll see that you're going to be doing so much better. I do want to make a side note to say that, don't be surprised if you don't get much support from your doctor or your specialist about doing the diet. They're going to tell you what they can tell me. And it's like, well, there isn't much medical evidence or support out there saying that, there are benefits to specifically Crohn's or colitis patients. I mean, when I go see my doctor, I remember the first time I was saying, they're like, oh, that's a hard diet to do. Like, gee, thanks. So all I have to say is know why you're doing the diet, and you're going to see the results and you're going to feel the results. So tip number 3 that I have for you is to keep a food diary. Now, I actually started this like way before I started the diet, just because I wanted to understand what were the foods that were irritating me and I could easily take them out of my diet. But it was also giving me a visual understanding of what I was eating in a day. And sometimes I was like, oh wow, I didn't really eat a lot today. It's keeping a record. And I remember finding those notes like 3 years later, and I was like, oh wow, like these were the foods that I was eating. Everybody reacts to food differently. This diet, just like everybody else, like Crohn's disease, so foods that I can eat and tolerate, you may not eat them because you can't tolerate them. So keep a diary. Know what are the foods that irritate you so you can take them out of the diet, and you can choose them to reintroduce them later, maybe when your body is feeling better, or you can just choose to eliminate them completely. It's really going to help to isolate and find what are the problem items. Now, tip number 4 that I have for you is to talk about it. Talk about it to your family members, talk about it to your friends. It's gonna kind of help you solidify that you're doing the diet, but also it's going to help the people around you that love and care about you wanting to help you as well. So example, if they want to make a meal for you, they'll know the foods that they need to stay away and the ones that you can tolerate. You can even cook together, show them information. You can give them the book so they can read about it. But I feel as though building that support group is going to make it easier for you to keep aligned, on that path to success. And depending who you're talking to, you don't really need to go in like in-depth detail of what the diet is about. I feel like diets in general nowadays are just perceived as more accepted, whether people are trying to lose weight or gain weight or, doing something different. I feel like intolerances as well is people are just more used to hearing about it when you go to the restaurant, gluten-free, lactose-free. There's so many products that are available out there. And so if you talk about your restrictions, your dietary restriction or your or what you can't eat, people are more open and accepting of removing those. And if you're afraid of people asking you questions about it and you don't want to be talking about it, it makes you feel more uncomfortable, maybe because maybe they're like a coworker or something like that. You can just say, oh, it's an allergy, or you could just say, oh, it's for health reasons. And I feel as though that kind of just stops the conversation. People will just say like, oh, okay. And that's an acceptable answer in itself. And the fifth tip I want to share with you today is joining support groups. I feel that this option is so much more accessible nowadays. When I first started, or even when I was first introduced to the diet 15 years ago, the only support group I was limited to the physical people that I could find next to me. And there weren't that many, at least not locally. And so now with the social media being absolutely amazing and you can reach people from across the world as you're texting them immediately, I think it's absolutely amazing. There's two specific groups that I personally am a part of that I think have been absolutely amazing and helpful in understanding and supporting me. It's like kind of like that little community. I'm going to be leaving the links and the information in the box below. But one of them is a Facebook group called Breaking the Vicious Cycle SCD Community. It's so amazing. You have to answer 3 questions in order to join this private group. The questions are really easy. They're all linked to the Specific Carbohydrate Diet. And in this group, it's all people that are either on the Specific Carbohydrate Diet or maybe it's parents of children that are doing the diet. And it's providing information all about it. So example, the organizer of the author of the group will say, hey, you know what, post pictures of your food today. And so it can give you ideas of what people are eating. At one point, people had made some gummy bears and I was like, oh, that looks so good. Like I can have that. So yeah, it gives you new ideas. Or sometimes somebody will be posting a picture of a product, like a label, and they're obviously at the grocery store and say, hey, is this product Specific Carbohydrate Diet legal? And so people will say yes or no. And it's like absolutely amazing information. It's all pretty much instant. And the second support group that I have is on Instagram, and it's called Our Life with Crohn's Colitis. And this is really good because basically you can send messages to the person, and it's all done anonymously. They'll take a screenshot of the message or the question that you asked them, and they're going to repost it on the page, and you have people answering your question. It's questions about everything, like medication, side effects, or, like, hey, is this normal or something like that. Like if I just pull up just here example, the first one is I've been diagnosed with Crohn's in 2010, but my legs are always swelling and my toes numb. It's very annoying. Does anyone else have this problem with Crohn's, and any advice? Thank you. So just something. I have a daughter starting on infliximab. Has anyone experienced on this treatment? And it's all anonymous, and it's about random information that I feel is always pertinent to understanding Crohn's as a whole, because I feel as though you are limited to understanding Crohn's in what it does to you. But Crohn's disease is like a very broad disease and it affects people in so many different ways, and so it helps me to understand the disease better because I get to see how it affects other people. So I would recommend following those groups, and if you're part of any other support groups, please let me know and leave it in the comments below because I would like to be a part of it as well. So tip number 6 that I have for you is making sure that you have some right tools to start the diet, or investing in right tools as well. And I'm not saying that you need to go and purchase $1 million items, because you really don't. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the items that you have around the house you can use. That's how I started. So the first one is a crock pot or Instapot. I can't say how much that is a godsend. I use my crock pot all the time. I haven't jumped on that bandwagon and got the Instapot yet, but the crock pot to me is doing so much goodness. The second one is a blender. I used to use a blender for my smoothies all the time, so now, I mean, I use it for recipes. So a blender, always really good. The only item that I actually went out of my way to purchase that was an investment is a yogurt maker, and I will link my video on how to make yogurt, but also the benefits of why it is really important to eat yogurt on the specific carbohydrate diet. So those are basically the 3 main things that I think that you would need to really get going on the diet. If you do want to invest in other items, you can go in and invest in a juicer. I did a lot of research on finding a really good juicer, and for me, juicing is absolutely incredible in what it does to my body. It kind of resets it in a certain way. I'm thinking of doing a video on just juicing specifically. So yeah, finding a juicer, really good. A lot of recipes also call for a food processor. I actually don't have one, so you can go by without it. But again, like if you want to make some like crust or like cookies or something like that, I know that a food processor is really good. And something else that I have is a dehydrator. I live on a ranch, so we have a lot of fruit trees. So for me specifically, it's very beneficial because it helps me to preserve fruits and vegetables that I have, and I can have them year round. Now, tip number 7 that I have for you is downloading an app that has the entire list of legal, illegal SCD foods. Now, this is something that I would have loved to have years ago when I started. But again, with technology nowadays, I feel like so many things are just easier to do. And I'm going to put a picture on here, and I'll also put in the description box below, of an app that is called SCD Food List, and it's free and you can just download it. So, I mean, if you're at the grocery store and you're looking at ingredients, or if you can't remember if certain fruits or vegetables are specific carbohydrate diet friendly. So yeah, go ahead and download that one. So tip number 8 that I have for you is setting a day once a week so you can meal prep, cooking and baking your foods for the rest of the week. I love to make big batches of things and I freeze them. I specifically, the cookies, the best cookies ever. I love those cookies so much, and I'm gonna leave a picture here of a recipe that I make. And I always make a giant batch. I freeze them, and then as I eat them as I go. But it has to do with everything. I mean, we don't have the luxury of going to the store. Let's just say you're running late, go to the store and grab something so you can eat that night. We can't do that because a lot of the foods, generally all of the foods, we can't eat, and we have to make everything. So much easier, bake, cook in advance, and then the rest of the week it'll be so much easier. And the last tip that I have for you today, and tip number 9, is don't despair. The one thing that I want to say is this is not a competition. You know, it's a journey. You are gradually on your way to health and, I guess, medication freedom. And it's slow, and you need to give your body to heal, because it's been through the ringer. And so you may have ups and downs, maybe some really high ups and some really lows, but you know what? It really is a journey, and you have to take it one day at a time. You may eat something that is really going to upset you, and you're going to feel it, and then you'll be like, you know what? Why am I even doing this? Remind yourself why. You don't want to be taking all these medication that are giving you all of these side effects that are absolutely numbing your brain, numbing your body, but they're not really doing anything beneficial to heal the body. This diet is healing you from the inside out. And That's what you need to keep reminding yourself. I'm doing this for myself and my own body because I want freedom to take my life back into my own hands. I want to control my life. This disease doesn't have to dictate what I'm going to be doing. I want to do what I want to do. And you have to keep reminding yourself of that. And so it's going to be tough sometimes, but you know what? The benefits and the end result are so worth it. So these were my 9 tips that I wanted to share with you that will hopefully make the transition in starting the diet much easier for you. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel and sharing it to other people that you feel may benefit from this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.